Hello, I'm Jeff Arnold. My business partner Rob Spangler and I run Leading Associations, a firm that focuses on all things leadership for public interest and nonprofit organizations. We work with boards and executives to help them lead strategically, build great boards, and board staff relationships. So let's talk about three key strategy myths. Myth number one is that being strategic requires having a strategic plan. And this may sound somewhat controversial in a world where strategic planning is pretty much a standard practice. In fact, I'd put my bets on an organization that has a strategic culture and no plan over one that has a plan but doesn't have a strategic culture. There are really just three elements of strategic leadership, and none of these three requires a plan. Number one, strategic intent. Secondly, strategic conversation. And third, aligned action. You can do these with or without a formal strategic plan. In fact, sometimes we need to engage in what I would call real-time strategy. There are times, especially now, for example, with COVID, something very unexpected that we've never encountered before. We've got to make some quick strategic decisions. Myth number two, creating strategy is about making operational improvements. A lot of organizations confuse process improvement with strategy. Process improvement is about improving the things you're already doing, increasing customer service response time, for example. Why isn't it strategic to set goals to be bigger, faster, stronger, better? Because if you're going the wrong way, getting there faster doesn't help. Strategy is about making sure we're going in the right direction. Myth number three, having a strategic plan is the same as being strategic. Strategy requires taking an outcome-focused approach. It's beginning with the end in mind. That's really the key to strategic thinking, strategic management, and strategic leadership. So let's define the difference between operational and strategic questions. Operational questions look at who, what, when, where, and how. Strategic questions, on the other hand, are which and why. Strategic decision-making is about analyzing and prioritizing your choices, which, and then justifying why you made those choices. So the board's role in strategy is to determine which route to take to the top. Let's say that you've got a group of climbers that have no mountaineering experience whatsoever. They're all beginners. And your strategic focus, in this case, might be on safety. With that in mind, as we're preparing for the climb, you'd have certain choices to make around personnel, equipment, and resources. You might take a longer but more gradual ascent if your strategic focus is safety. If, on the other hand, your team is elite mountaineers who specialize in fast ascents without oxygen, and your goal is to set a speed record, you might choose a steeper, more direct route. And you might make some of the opposite decisions in terms of equipment and resources than the group shooting for safety. Determining the best route requires looking at the facts at hand and choosing which route best supports your desired outcome and what resources you'll need to assure success in getting there. Let's do a quick review of the three strategy myths. Myth number one is that being strategic requires a strategic plan. Strategic leadership requires only three things: strategic intent, strategic conversation, and aligned action. Myth number two is that strategy is about making operational improvements. Operational improvements are great, but they're just about improving what you already do. Strategy asks, should we be doing this in the first place? And finally, myth number three is that having a strategic plan is the same as being strategic. The plan itself is just a roadmap. Being strategic means, as leaders, we have an outcome-focused approach. That we're going to ask strategic questions, which and why. Which path should we take and why that path and not some other? I hope you've enjoyed this video from Leading Associations, and if you want to learn more about strategic leadership, building a world-class board, and all things leadership for nonprofit organizations, please click the subscribe button below so you'll get the latest videos on our channel.